Hello, everybody, and welcome to yet another edition of the Elite City Podcast. Um, Before we get started, I want to say happy Canadian Thanksgiving to Mr. Rick, the Great White North.
Oh, thank you. Yes, I've eaten a lot of food. I had several different kinds of pie, so I'm
You
good.
can't beat that. I mean,
That's right. It was a good Thanksgiving.
uh, I cannot
I,
wait
I
for
was I was
ours.
thinking this earlier today. I feel like Canada and the US should celebrate each other's Thanksgivings. Like we should each get two.
I agree.
Because I like the Canadian Thanksgiving. I like because it's like the start of fall. It's like a start, but then I also
Ah,
like the idea of the U.S. Thanksgiving, where it's like the whole holiday season for like a month. It's like holidays.
yeah,
So I
yeah.
feel like we should do both.
I'm totally down because that's my favorite meal of the year, and I'll eat I'll eat it twice.
Yeah, and then
That's
it's like a solidarity between the nations. We should
yeah.
celebrate each other's Thanksgiving.
We celebrated the third year of AEW this past week.
Yes.
It was a very good week. Um, it was a lot of homegrown kids, people just showing up. I mean, if spots are going to be hard to come by, everybody that worked last week set the bar high
Yeah.
because every match was good.
It was a really nice like celebration of Ring of Honor.
It really was.
And
It really was.
AEW was there too. But
Correct. But something's brewing there
yeah,
with that.
it's a
It
little
has to be.
there's far too many Ring of Honor. Like I know he wants to push them as like a TV entity, so he has to promote them. But there's a
Correct.
lot of ROH references on these shows. Like more than I think there would be if there was nothing else going on.
Yeah, literally the 3-year anniversary of Dynamite was basically a Ring of Honor show. Like every match had the code of honor,
Right.
or like it was talked about Ring of Honor the whole time. So yeah,
It was a
very
little
interesting.
strange to the point where I was like, did Tony Khan actually just want to buy Ring of Honor? And
Yeah. uh yeah, versus Wheeler Yuta. MJF let us know last week that these guys have wrestled each other on the indies, and it showed because they were spot on. It was awesome.
yeah, it was a really great match. MJF is a guy I think I mentioned last week. Like you forget that he's a good wrestler because of his
Yeah.
whole character.
Yeah.
But he's obviously a very good wrestler. So yeah, they had a great match.
Well, yeah, it was 129 days since his last match, and he gave us that. So,
Well, I mean, technically his last match was the ladder match, but he didn't do anything.
well, very true.
But
Very true.
technically, that was he just walked down and grabbed that thing. But
That is very true.
that's
So you got me
technically
on
he
that.
was in a match. But yes,
kinda
in an
think.
actual wrestling match where he actually wrestled. Yes.
Uh,
And even that match was Wardlow. He didn't really do anything in that match.
That's true too. Whole crowd was chanting for him. It was it, when he becomes a baby face, it's going to be incredible because they're going to let you. We're going to want it for so long.
Yeah.
It, it is going to be a game changer. But then again, no one's ever going to trust him, so he's going to be a great baby face.
Yeah.
Um, it was like a 50-50 match. They went back and forth. Uh, I thought like we all knew what Wheeler could do. We all knew what MJF could do, but both of them putting their like mixed styles together, it worked really well. And they obviously knew each other because when they went through like the 9,000 pinning
Yeah.
combinations, I mean that was basically a gymnastics routine. Like
Yeah, and it was spot on. Like they didn't miss a beat.
yes, yeah, it was actually incredible. I couldn't imagine what their abs felt like during that. That was the only. That's where
Speaking
I
of which,
wanted to be.
MJF got ripped
Yes, he did.
while he was
Yes,
away.
yes, he did. Um, They didn't talk about that. That's a surprise. That's
No, but
usually
yeah, he looks way making a lot more built than the last time we saw him in a real match.
yeah. That's it. That was a good eye. Um, Wheeler Yuta hitting the 5 star. Well, it was not a frog splash, but he did turn in the air like
Yeah,
RVD. Uh, that was awesome. I don't know if that was his intention. I mean, he is from Philly, even though
right.
Dasha said he was from Pittsburgh.
Yeah, they
But
introduced him from Pittsburgh. I was very confused.
it was backup announcer. So Dasha was probably told last minute she was announcing. So
Right.
um, they earned their "This is awesome" chant. They it was such it was like an old fashioned pro wrestling match. Like it wasn't quite a fight, but it wasn't quite scripted either.
Yeah, MJF is one of the guys who I forget who you talked about earlier on another podcast the same way. You could put him in any era of wrestling and he would
Oh
be
yeah,
he would work. Like the way he wrestles, the way his character is, the way he presents himself, like he would work in the 80s, 90s, now, like he would work any generation.
and that is very true. MJF is he eh, he calls himself a once a generation. He earned that
Yeah.
because until someone proves him wrong. Um, Great match, and then this I want to get your opinion on this. Lee Moriarty comes out from the crowd, and then MJF stepped in. Eh, Foreshadowing, or is that just MJF saying I'm not getting billed for that?
Yeah, I mean, my first thought was is he does he want to prove that he can do stuff on his own? But then yeah, he is paying the firm to back him up.
Right.
But I guess maybe not in this instance was he paying the firm to back him up, like he didn't ask for them. Um, but I kind of took thinking about it more, I thought maybe it's along the lines of the stuff he did with CM Punk, where like it looks like he's a good guy, but he's just pretending to be a decent guy, so you trust him, and then he's even more of a jerk. I don't know.
Well, that would be. I mean, that would play perfectly into his character. So I'm gonna go with that.
Because I mean
That's
he's going to end up feuding with Mox most
right.
likely,
Right.
and he has to be the over the top horrible heel for that because Mox is clearly the face.
Yeah. And I mean, I, I don't even know if an AEW crowd could hate Moxley. To be perfectly
No,
honest with you, I
he's
mean,
legitimately like the heart. Like when he says he's the heart and soul of AEW, he
yeah,
he is.
yeah. So, well, he proved that this week. I mean, we can say it now. Well, not that we knew. That was
Yeah.
terrible. That was terrible of me, and I'll admit that. Like, I don't know why that
We have
came
all the
out.
inside scoops. We're just not telling you.
Right. Yeah. As we found out via Twitter, Moxley signed a 5-year extension.
Yes,
So
and he
I
was
don't.
working without a contract for a while.
Oh, okay. That's what I was just going to say. Was there any time left on the contract or
No, he
what?
was without a contract for like the summer or something. Like he for a while he didn't have a contract, but he just
Unreal.
continued to work while they worked it out. Like he's the best.
Unreal. He is the best. And I was um, like, what a commitment to everything. I mean, in five, I mean, look what happens in a year. I mean, if a year ago you said W is going to be like they were going to pull off the biggest work in creation or CM Punk's the biggest asshole in creation.
Yeah.
But if you'd have told you that a year ago, I wouldn't have believed either of them
Yeah, and I
because
mean he's 36 now, so he's going to be 41 by the time this deal's like this is the prime. Like he might
right,
go back to WWE for like a Hall of Fame induction, but
right.
this is the prime
This
years of his career that he's spending in
that's
AEW.
that's what I was just getting at. Like he is going to be the guy. That just put the staple on it right there. He is the guy.
And he's been like every time they needed him when there
Yes.
was no crowds during the pandemic, he was the champion. When CM Punk got hurt the first time, he was the
Yeah.
champion. When CM Punk got hurt the second time, he's the champ. Like he's
Yeah.
dependable. They put the belt on him because they know when they need him, he's there.
Yeah. So, uh, Mox, thank you, and it's going to be a good 5 years. Let's keep it going.
And the rumor is Renee might be coming with him,
Renee, yes, yes,
which
that
would be
is the
great.
rumor. Um, me and you were kind of texting back and forth about this. I I've read that like apparently TNT and TBS want more wrestling related shows.
Yes.
So, I mean, I guess you could take that with a grain of salt. Does that mean more shows, or does that mean like reality behind the scenes type stuff? Like,
I think they do want I think they really liked Rhodes from the top because it also came out that they were trying to get Cody Rhodes to stay. And I think part of the reason why
oh,
is because they
yeah,
really liked that Rhodes for the top show. So I think they would like a reality type thing.
I just wonder who would volunteer for it.
Yeah.
It would be interesting. Like, I mean, just because we know him, because like he streams and everything. Like, of course, Adam Cole and Britt,
Right.
but are they like you see their lives because he streams all the time? Like, I mean,
Right.
I
Yeah.
just
So
want to
that
see a
you wouldn't need
different
to watch the
camera
show.
angle, right?
I would love for it to be like a kind of like a road to where it's behind
That
the
would be
scenes but still in character. Like that it talks about their lives
yes,
and but they're still all in character the whole time. But it is a more behind the scenes thing. You maybe get to see them travel or whatever, but like the interviews are in character.
that would be great.
That would be
Uh,
cool.
or give her unrestricted. That's the other thing I thought of.
Yeah, I mean she had that Talking Smack show with Daniel Bryan in WWE. That was good.
Oh, I
I
didn't realize she was a uh, in the podcast space over there.
No, it was a like a TV show, but it was kind of like a
Oh,
podcast, but
oh,
it was
okay.
on TV. It
I
was
did not know that.
like a post game show for SmackDown. It was
Huh.
her and Daniel Bryan, but like basically they had no script and they just talked for an hour or
Oh, that's
whatever it
cool.
was. It got cut because it had no script and they didn't like that. But it was a good show. So I would like she could do something like that. She could do like a post Dynamite, recap show or something like that would be cool.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, do they brand Mox and Renee the new Cody and Brandy? Like, but I mean, like I'm dead serious. And then I was thinking about it, like Mox literally tells you he comes home and just sits on the couch, and
Yeah.
drinks. Well, he doesn't drink anymore, but I was gonna say just sit on the couch, watch movies and drink beer. But
And like watch Japanese wrestling matches.
yeah, it would just be Mox doing that, except drinking like
Iced
Coke.
tea or something.
Yeah, I mean, it would.
I heard Renee once say that like when he was off, when he was in rehab, he was at home, like he was at home for part of it. And she said like he'd just be watching some like really obscure Japanese wrestling match and be like, "You have to come watch this with me." She's like, "I watched like 20 wrestling matches today. We have a baby. I don't have time." And he's like, "No, this wrestling match, you have to see it. It's from 1982."
Oh, that's amazing. Now, I'd love to see a reality show. We're getting a little off topic, but we'll leave it on this. A reality show that just involves Eddie Kingston. I just want more. I
Oh,
think he's most,
I forget who it was on Twitter, but I said they should do a show that's just Renee and Eddie Kingston talking about how much they love John Moxley.
that would be incredible.
That should be the whole show.
That should be the whole show. Um,
Anyway, continuing.
Back to the show. JAS had a backstage segment that was probably the funniest segment of the year. Matt Menard, Daddy Magic, cuts the promo on the hat that Danny Garcia didn't want.
And I think it was Jake Hager who just like, it's a
Yes.
nice hat.
Yep, that's what I was just gonna say. Jake Hager in perfect character, not breaking a smile. I like this hat. It's a nice hat.
2.0 or whatever. I don't think they call it 2.0 anymore, but both those guys, Matt Menard and
Angelo Parker.
Angelo Parker, they're hilarious. They're somehow they're on TV for like a minute and it's hilarious.
Yes, it is.
Like they do make the most of like if you get a minute, they're gonna have a really entertaining minute of TV that they're on. Like they're good at it.
They're very good at it, and Jericho is the master for seeing. Like he knew where they came from, and he's starting this sports entertainment group. Oh, get the guys that went through the performance center who were taught to basically be this.
Yeah. And they're like so over the top with it that it's great.
Oh yeah. Like I can listen to Matt Menard talk all day because all he does is yell and it's amazing. It's funny. Like, oh, it's just
amazing. They're really good.
And that was actually the whole segment. So it
They just
was
talked about
literally
the hat and how they were upset that he rejected the hat. Yeah.
yes. And then Jericho said he was gonna bring Honor back to the Ring of Jericho.
I love that he calls it Ring of Jericho because that doesn't
Me
even
too.
sound anything like Ring of Honor. Like it's not like
Right.
it's
And
not a pun. It's not clever. It's just putting his name in it. Like
right.
it's great.
Yeah. I mean, because he had Monday Night Jericho and that
Right.
worked. And it was just, oh, I'm just gonna be an ass about it now.
Just
Call
putting
it
my name
Ring
and
of
stuff. Yeah.
yeah. He should have said Jericho of Honor because then it would have been like he had honor.
Right.
Ring of Jericho, but Ring of Jericho is good too. It gets a pass.
Yes.
um, but Jay Lethal, Darby Allin put on a clinic.
Yes.
My God, what a match! We say all the time, Darby like he obviously had a um, wrestling background in high school, and Jay Lethal had an amateur wrestling background, but I would have never expected Darby to start a match on the mat.
Yeah. Just based on his character, you expect him to
Right.
be a daredevil, not a mat wrestler. Yeah.
And it was super cool. I loved it. Now, Lethal, I said in the notes, Lethal took charge during the break. It, again, we don't get commentary. It basically just looked like he had Darby in a rest hold. Like,
Yeah.
were
Pretty
they?
much.
Oh, so I was just gonna say, were they putting that over, or were they just
I
talking
think
like
they were
they
just
normally?
talking. Like they were just. I forget exactly what they were saying, but they were just like talking amongst each other.
And
Taz
that's
is so
dude.
good. Like Taz is
Taz
so
is
good.
hilarious.
I love JR, but adding Taz to the commentary team for Dynamite has been a great addition.
Yes. And not just going back to Renee, even though we said we were going to get off that. That's another thing Renee can do.
Right. Yeah, she can do basically anything, hosting, commentary, interviews.
Yeah.
She can do it all.
Did she? I'm sorry, we're getting off track again, but just one quick question. She did the pre-show for Raw, and she called Raw. Was she ever like a backstage
I think
like
briefly,
interview?
like
Okay,
briefly,
I'm
but not for an extended period of time.
okay. We're gonna end it there. uh, but which I thought was cool coming out of the break for Jay Lethal. He started working the knee, and uh, Jay Lethal has such a deep love for like old school wrestling, and this match, this was his homage to like the 1970s. He worked Darby's knee for like 7.5 minutes. It was awesome.
And I love how he works the knee and then goes for a figure, like he's aiming
Figure
for a figure
four.
four.
Yep.
A lot of wrestlers will work the knee, but then they don't go for a submission move. Then what's the point of working the knee,
Right.
really? Whereas
Yeah.
he's setting up for a submission, which is what you should be
That's
doing. It's good.
yeah. It was done so well. It was perfect. Now this is where I want your opinion. Sanjay and Satnam, they start to make their way to the ring, and Jay has to like he's like, "What are you doing?" Boom! Darby puts the Last Supper clean pin. Is there going to be some friction between Sanjay,
That
Jay,
was a
and
little
Satnam?
weird, especially coming out of basically the same thing, similar thing happening with MJF. I mean, people coming down and him saying he doesn't want their help.
Oh yeah,
It
never
was a
thought of
little
that.
odd. It reminded me of the that was Grand Slam when there was three straight matches with like the referee missing interference or
Oh
missing
yeah,
something illegal. Uh, when they do it in two straight matches, I feel like it's leading to something,
that's a man. Do you got good eye?
but I don't know what it's leading to, unless it was just because they wanted to talk about honor and Ring of Honor and being
Well,
honorable.
that's that's true, and leading to that, Jay Lethal shook Darby's hand, and he honored the code of honor.
Yes, I wonder if they're going to break up, or if that was just like he was just annoyed that they were there. But
Well,
they're
that's what. Yeah. Now this is if they're going to break up, obviously Sanjay stays with Satnam,
right.
but I bet you Satnam wrestles Jay Lethal in his first match because they probably have practiced it
Right.
hundreds of times
And Jay
by
Lethal
now.
can get a good match out of him.
And Jay Lethal would be able to get a good match out of
But
him.
then would Jay Lethal turn face? That would be awkward, or like I don't know if that would work.
Yeah, and then I think he does something with. Well, see, I also have a, unless he's going to do something with Ring of Honor,
Yeah.
but I also have a theory on what's going to possibly transpire this Wednesday
All
in
right.
Toronto. Do you have tickets yet?
I do not. There,
Oh man.
Dynamite is very expensive. Rampage is shockingly cheap, so we'll see what happens with that. But
Oh, okay. Yes, that's right. The shows are separate.
yeah, it's
I
weird that they're
forgot
doing
about
this.
that.
I think that's why the Rampage tickets aren't selling well, because it's weird to have just Rampage as its own event, not live.
That is,
It's a little odd, but
yeah. Um. Okay. Wow. I like the little introduction. I was of the Gates of Agony with Prince Nana. We'll touch on it because it means something a little bit later. It was just an old school wrestling introduction, and I thought it was
yeah.
cool.
And I like that they've
It,
been doing that a little bit more when they bring it. I don't know if it's response to people not knowing who people are, but I like it
right.
actually because it takes 30 seconds, and they
Yeah.
kind of tell you a little bit about the person, and then you move on. I like it.
eh,
It is kind of 1980s
That's what I was
wrestling,
just
and I
gonna
like it.
say. And didn't it remind you of like um done like this yet, but like when there's like someone with a character coming in, like remember what they did with like Razor Ramon?
Right.
Like he'd be dude sitting on a beach, like what? Who's this guy? Like
Yeah.
if they bring stuff like that back, I'm all in because that was fun.
Yeah. I like it.
Yeah. Oh, I love it. TNT Championship match. Uh, your friend Brian Cage
Yes.
versus the War Dog Wardlow. Um, we're gonna say it right now. Round of applause for Brian Cage. It was a
Yes.
good
Good
match.
match.
It
Very good
was
match.
had a hell of a show. Uh, Wardlow did do a Hurricane Corona though, so
Yeah. I mean, clearly Wardlow looked like Brian Cage looked impressive. Wardlow looked more impressive, but that's not
yes,
necessary. That's not taking anything away from Brian Cage. That's just saying Wardlow's doing even better.
yeah, and I don't even know what it was called. I just wrote "Holy Hell Wardlow," like when he did that like half twist front flip thing. That was
Yeah.
amazing. Uh, that was that was impressive, but I'm Cage's suplex from the apron back into the ring. That was impressive.
Yeah. Brian Cage, I think I texted you this. Brian Cage seems like his look, even the way he wrestles, he seems like someone who should be very successful.
Yeah.
And for some reason he's not. But like he should be. Like
Uh-huh.
if you saw him in a match against some random nobody, you would think this guy's, a superstar. But
Yeah.
then he's not. It's a little weird.
It is. Like I don't know if he's apprehensive. I don't know if it's nerves. I mean, not the right opponent yet. I want I want Rigo to get his hands on
Yeah.
him. And just this is going to sound weird because I'm not making fun of him when I say it, but teach him to be strong,
Right.
if that makes sense. Like, you know,
I mean, Mark Henry would probably be good for that. They have Mark Henry around.
oh yeah, I forgot
I feel
about
like
Mark Henry
he'd do
too.
an excellent job with him.
Yeah, he would.
Because I
Because
forget who Mark Henry was who was talking about Mark Henry. Might have been it might have been Keith Lee or some another big guy. I don't know who it was. Was saying basically the same thing. Like Mark Henry taught him how to be a big guy, like how to be strong,
yeah,
how to be powerful, I mean look powerful in a wrestling ring, not be
yeah,
strong. Like they obviously are strong, but
yeah, that's what I said. Like when I said that, I wasn't insinuating that Brian Cage wasn't strong, but I meant like look strong as in like okay, if Mark Henry when he was in WWE, if he did a shoulder tackle, it looked like the guy was gonna fly through the mat as
right.
opposed like it was just more believe it looked like the guy hit a wall.
You convey your strength as in
Yeah.
certain yeah.
And if somebody can do that with Brian Cage, look out because I mean he's already got the look.
Right.
You give him you let him learn how to use that body and then he doesn't even have to talk.
No.
Like some people say his voice isn't like he's not threatening or anything, but if someone just looks that way and they just destroy
Yeah, you
everybody,
don't
you
need to
really
like. I mean, there's a lot of guys in WWE, Lesnar, Bobby Lashley. Like
yeah,
they're not cutting top tier promos, but like they look like big guys who are tough
right.
guys.
Yeah. So um
And Wardlow, I
they
mean, obviously he's
and
Wardlow.
Wardlow.
Yeah.
Yes. And I was gonna say they earned their "This is awesome" chant, but lo and behold, Wardlow had to tune up the band and Powerbomb Symphony. I didn't write down how many there were,
I
but
think it was
it was.
5.
I was gonna say I think it was more than four.
I think it was 5.
And then Wardlow with the clean win and the Gates of
And good
Agony
job
up
for
top.
anyone who's willing to let themselves be powerbombed that many times.
Yeah,
Good going. Because not only does obviously it hurts, but like it makes
yeah,
you look like not look bad, but it's like a very decisive win for Wardlow. So
yes,
good job.
yeah. Uh, but it set up the Gates of Agony. I thought that was really well done. They gave them their little vignette, and then they're running to the ring.
Yeah, that made sense.
And I, going back to what you said earlier, it makes this so much more sense now. That's exactly why they did that.
Right.
Just so people weren't like, well, who are those guys? Why am I
Right.
supposed to know them? Why do I care about them?
Right.
Tony Khan's a genius. He just does things to mess with the internet, and I love it. I love it.
I feel like Tony Khan is online all the time.
He has to be
Like based on how he responds to things and how I feel like he's reading the internet constantly, which I don't think I would be doing if I was a successful billionaire. But maybe I would. I don't know.
I mean, I'm not a successful billionaire, and I spend most of my day on the internet, so it's really not that hard.
Yeah, it's true. What else are you going to do?
Right. I mean, run a wrestling company, a football team, and a soccer team. It's just like who has time for any of that? Joe comes in to make the save, and which I thought was kind of dumb because like he just came in and got beat up, and then
Yeah.
FTR came in and made the save.
Right. It was like both of them did. It was a little weird, but
Yeah.
it was also a little weird because Joe made the save, but was still outnumbered.
Right.
But then FTR came and they outnumbered them, so it's not even like it's even. Like now
Yeah.
Wardlow's side is an extra guy.
Right. Uh, well, that set up another match. I thought it was a good match. Like
Yeah,
I said, we're gonna give it to Brian Cage and Wardlow, but Brian Cage, man,
significantly better match than I thought it would be.
100%. And I mean, he's what 31-7 now, and or yeah, yeah, 38 matches. Um, Willow, Athena, and Tony versus Jamie Hayter, Serena Deeb, Penelope Ford. Excuse me. Uh, Saraya walks the faces to the ring,
Oh,
and
and before this, Britt had her promo saying that Saraya isn't cleared,
oh yeah, that's
which
I
is
forget.
important. Which is important.
That's very important. I forgot to put that in.
Yes.
So we'll just start with there because that's exactly what happened. Britt cut a little pre-tape promo saying that the doctors have not cleared Saraya to wrestle. So there was some breaking news, and I mean we talked about it a couple weeks ago when a heel says something's going to happen, but it's
Right.
guaranteed to not happen. It's
Right.
going to happen.
Right.
So we all knew what was going to happen.
Right.
Uh, so then
Which I
Britt
like
just
though, just that little bit of doubt, that little bit of realism where people are
right,
the internet's generally concerned for Saraya now being like, oh, if AEW cleared her, but like, did they just find any doctor? Like, did 10 doctors say she couldn't wrestle, but they found one who said she could? So I like that, putting that little doubt. I like putting in that little bit of realism into the situation because people are going to be more invested now.
yes, and it's. I mean, even though you just said it's kind of blurring those lines again. It's
Yeah.
not like it's not a cheap tactic, but it's a cheap tactic because everyone knows that Saraya has had neck issues.
Yeah. This is what, remember CM Punk when he cut the pipe bomb in whatever year that was?
Yes.
And then
Yeah.
he was on some interview and they asked him like, oh, is this going to be a new attitude era? And he was like, no, I think it's more of a reality era. I think this is the reality. Like what AEW is doing right now,
Well,
you could
that's a good
is like the reality era.
because I mean they're even taking their is it's going to be part of something I talk about later, but they're taking their personas online now
Yeah.
as like just a week ago they weren't. Like
Yeah, they're doing a really good job of whether or not things are works or shoots. Like even if everything that we think is a a shoot is a shoot. Like maybe there are all these
Right.
backstage arguments.
Right.
They're doing a really good job at blending it in with the storylines, blending it in with the reality and storyline blending together. Like they're making it so you doubt basically everything.
Yeah.
And it's obviously more interesting. I mean, I think I said to you, like Warner Discovery has basically said they only want sports and reality shows. So
Well.
AEW is saying, well, we can be a sport and a reality show. Like they're doing
Yep.
exactly what the network wants them to do. And
Yeah.
I like it. It's
It's
interesting.
amazing. And did you watch that Tales from the Territories yet?
No, I didn't watch it yet.
Well, I'm just gonna bring up one little part. They're talking about like Memphis apparently blurred the lines between reality and storyline, and um, Jerry the King Lawler is on, and he talks about the promoter had a sign in his office that said controversy equals money,
Right.
and like look at all this quote unquote controversy that AEW has been going through recently, and then just look at the timeline of anybody that follows wrestling and Twitter. It used to be 50% AEW, 50% WWE. Now even it's all AEW because people think that it's chaos.
And
It's unreal.
they've managed to. I mean, the mystique of wrestling from the whenever you're 60s 70s when people thought,
Yeah,
oh, is this real, is this fake,
right,
um that mystique went away in the 80s and 90s where everyone realized, oh no, it's all fake, none of it's real.
right.
um they're managing to bring that back now where you're like, oh,
Yes,
I know the matches are predetermined, but like these guys actually hate each other, or it's
yeah.
they're making it seem like at least part of it is real.
And I love every minute of it. It's so interesting and different. Um, back to the match though.
We've gone a lot of tangents, but I think they've been good tangents.
Yeah, they've been very good and they're um people. Uh, I'm gonna yell at the internet. People that like a certain other federation complain that AEW people never have anything to complain about, and they obviously don't listen to the podcast because we say things all the time.
Right.
Nobody wholeheartedly ever like your favorite thing in the world has a flaw, and you
Right.
admit it. Like
Right.
nothing is that enjoyable in your
Yeah,
life.
nothing is 100% perfect at all times. Like a
Yeah,
TV show that runs every single week for the entire year for 2 hours is not going to
yeah,
be perfect every minute of every show. Like,
yeah.
obviously.
And yeah, when we sit here and say like, "Oh, that was a great match," it's because it really was. Like
Yeah.
that's if it stunk, we're gonna tell you.
Yeah.
Uh, but anyways, Saraya walks the faces to the ring, and before we get started, we always used to say that if the women just needed a little more polish in those early shows.
Yeah.
Well, this match totally proved that the work is being done by these girls. They
I
put
think
on a
honestly
clinic.
this was my favorite match of the week.
It's a great match.
It was really,
Um,
really good. And it made me think. You remember? I don't know what timeline it was now, but remember like the SmackDown 6 when Paul Heyman was booking SmackDown, and it was like Eddie and Chavo and Rey
oh yeah,
Mysterio and
yeah,
Edge, and like they were like the top 6 guys. So
yeah,
you could basically put any 6 of them in any sort of a match, and it would be a good match. I feel like
yeah,
this is like the women's 6. Like any one of these 6
yeah,
can be in a match, and the match is good.
yeah.
Any combination of the 6 of them, like it's going to work out. It's going to be a great match.
And I mean, we're gonna give Willow a lot of credit for what she did on Rampage too, but Willow and Penelope Ford. I mean, Serena Deeb's always going to give you a clinic, but
Yeah.
Willow and Penelope Ford, like of all the talent in this match, I think those two stole the show.
Yeah, and they don't have the lengthy I don't know about Penelope Ford specifically, but they don't have the lengthy wrestling history that like a Serena Deeb
Right,
does. Like she's been wrestling forever,
right.
and they haven't been, but they fit in perfectly well in it. Like they didn't look out of
Yes.
place, they didn't look awkward. They fit in perfectly well. Like Penelope Ford specifically has been improving rapidly.
Rapidly and believably. Like
Yeah,
she is still the same, like she's the same character, she's the same persona, but it was almost like before she was trying to be it, now she is it, if that
Yeah,
makes any sense. Like she looks very natural in out there, and it's good for her. I mean, she's obviously did the work because it's paying off now.
yeah. This is like a really good showcase for the women's division in AEW. That's one of the knocks. We say there's negative things about
Yeah,
AEW. That's one of them,
yeah,
is they don't get enough time to showcase all the women. And I know
and
maybe a 6-person match isn't the best way to do it every single week. I would say they should probably have 2 matches instead of 1 match with 6 people in it.
yeah,
But this match showcased them really well. All of them. Every single
yes,
person in the match got to
it,
star for at least a little bit.
yeah, that's what I was just gonna say. Every combination, whoever was in there, somebody would get the upper hand, and then they would turn it so both looked good.
Yeah.
uh, and there were Serena Deeb chants. That was awesome.
Serena Deeb is great. Like
She's so great.
everyone knows that. She's wonderful. Like she's such a good wrestler and character, and it's great.
She's like, I think she's turning into like the, I don't want to say silent because I'm not backstage obviously, but like it looks like she's becoming more and more of a leader in the
Yeah.
locker room.
I think I've mentioned this before. I feel like she's the Bret Hart of like the current women's division.
Yeah, totally.
Like Bret Hart was when he was champion was like a leader, but I couldn't see Bret Hart like going out and giving like a rousing speech. Like he's not like that.
Yeah,
And I
right.
feel like she's similar. Like she'll probably, if you come over and ask her, maybe she'll give advice to people, but I don't think she's like, okay, everyone, we got to have a great match. Like, I don't think that's
Yeah,
her,
yeah.
but you're right
No, I hear
that
you.
she
Yeah,
probably does have a very important leadership role in the locker room.
and I mean, every week she just keeps. I want her to get a belt.
Yeah, I really do. I really think she should win something. Like she's so good.
She is.
And that's not to say like Tony Storm isn't good or Jamie Hayter isn't good. Like they're all really
Oh,
good.
right. No, you're totally right. Um, Deeb was in control through the break, and then we come back from the break. Tony Storm hot tag, and the love for Willow Nightingale starts shining.
Yeah.
Willow, I mean, she might be the next acclaimed.
She's very over, and she should be. Like I love her character. Like her,
Yeah,
she's like smiling and happy, but it's not
yeah,
cheesy. It comes off
right.
as legitimate. Like she actually seems happy. Like she's not faking.
Yeah,
She does a really good job.
and she's just like the acclaim. She's come through the elevation and dark. I mean, it's so cool to see her on TV now.
Yeah, and we don't even know if she actually is signed to AEW yet. So
Well, that's why I sent. She posted a link to a T-shirt with the AEW logo on.
right.
So,
So
like,
I think they are waiting for her to get like a really big singles win to before they give her the all elite graphic.
yeah,
But
yeah. Um, but as what a match! And Willow got the clean pin, which was awesome. I'm
yeah,
that she deserved that. Uh, just this all in all solid match. You said it was your favorite match of the week
I
or
think
of
it
the
was. It
show?
was it was my favorite match for the show. I really liked it.
It was a great match. Well, again, talking about um, homegrown stars, the acclaimed had their in ring, and it was so fun. They're so good.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. Like,
They're like when they look ridiculous. Like if you didn't watch wrestling and this is the first thing you saw, you'd be very
yes,
confused. Like you wouldn't know what's going on and be like, why do people like this? But if you
yes,
actually watch it for what, it's just fun. Like wrestling is
yeah,
dumb, right? It's fake
yeah,
fighting with like
right.
personalities and like they're fun. Like they're just really fun.
Yeah. I mean, the crowd is officially a member of the acclaimed
Yeah.
because they started the "Oh Scissor Me Daddy Ass" chant. But I thought it was Bowens when he said AEW stands for acclaimed every Wednesday. I thought that was awesome.
I
So
thought that
cool.
was I thought that was awesome. And I thought, there's some, and this is not knocking the elite. But there's some like hardcore elite super fan on
Oh,
Twitter who's like, they're gonna take the elite out of the name. How dare they?
right. That's a sign. Tony needs to get control.
Yeah.
um, And Tony Schiavone had the quote of the night, but he hit the nail on the head when he just said, "The Acclaimed and all this is just fun."
Yeah, it's just fun.
It's
It's just entertaining and it's fun and
it's
it is Attitude Era esque. Like what one of the things I loved about the Attitude Era that I think maybe not the actual content, but the concept carries over. Like a lot of stuff that they did back then, you couldn't do today and probably shouldn't do today.
right,
But one of
which
the things that really worked was when they would give everybody like a little, 1 minute promo before their match.
yeah,
Like DX had their little thing, and Val
yeah,
Venus and Godfather and Al Snow and The Rock. Like they all had a little thing that they do before a match.
yeah,
And that kind of put them over, and when they're coming out, they're going to do something funny or like that. The Acclaim reminds me of that.
yeah. Oh yeah. Like I mean, you're all like you hear the
Yeah.
this terrible noise, but and then you're just wondering. I didn't know how to describe it,
If you
so I
heard
just
that
made it.
noise, you'd be confused. But
Right. If you heard the one that I just made, you'd be like, "Oh, I can't wait to hear what Max is gonna say because his rap's gonna be awesome."
yeah, like they're just fun. And then Swerve coming out was
Oh,
excellent.
well, when he holds the Rock and Rock beats Scissors,
Yeah.
and then Mark Sterling
Yeah.
with
I've got paper. Paper
and
covers
Paper
Rock.
beats Rock. Oh, it was so good.
Mark Sterling is another one who's just hilarious. Like he knows his
Yes,
role in the show, and like he doesn't take himself too seriously, and he's just really funny.
and so good at it.
Yeah.
Like he's his timing is like with the papers. Rock beats paper. Like
Yeah.
it could have come off the top of his head or could have been planned, but
Right.
regardless, it was
And it
funny.
wasn't like he said it and then like paused for a reaction. He was just like, "Well, paper
Yeah,
covers Rock," and then just like continued on with like whatever he was
yeah,
gonna say.
yeah. It was so good. And then he took a brain buster, and his neck's probably hurt again. But hey, he has. I'm gonna throw an old school joke. Some of our demographics probably not going to get this, but I heard Mark Sterling has the same doctor as Cowboy Bob Orton.
I do hope I
Just
do hope he wears that neck brace forever. I hope he wears it for years.
me too, me too. Um, well, speaking of Cowboys, boom, that was a good one. I didn't even
Nice.
try it.
Nice.
We had Roosh versus Hangman Adam Page. Um, what a match!
Roosh is
This
great. Like he's really good.
Roosh. Yeah, yeah, I'm gonna quote you. I wrote your tweet down this week. No, because you hit. Supposedly there was a fight between Sammy Guevara and Andrade, and then turns out that, which this is why I don't believe it, but apparently Andrade attacked Sammy, and Sammy like just let us get punched in the face. I don't know. It didn't look like he got punched in the face on TV.
Right.
So they said Andrade was the aggressor, and they fought, but he didn't raise a hand. So first off, that's not how fights work. But whatever. But if Andrade really did do that and is suspended or fired or whatever, and Roosh takes his place, I don't. I think people already forgot about Andrade, and I
Yeah,
hate
I
to
think
say
that's like
that.
it made me think of remember when they recast Diesel and Razor Ramon and everyone was just like it was terrible and everyone
Yes.
was upset. This
Yeah.
reminds me of like they didn't recast Roosh as Andrade. Like they're not calling him Andrade, but like they just put him in the storyline.
Yeah.
And it's fine. Like it's fine. Like he's
Yeah.
entertaining and he's a good wrestler. So like when he says like he's controlling Private Party, like no one's like actually Andrade. Like yeah, we know what you mean. That's fine. Like,
Yeah. Yeah. So if that's the case, the LFI is in. Well, I almost thought I put the letters in the wrong way. I was like, that would have been terrible because I already can't pronounce it. And then I thought I messed up again. Uh, it's in good hands.
I really hope they just start calling it the Roosh family office with no explanation. Like, because it's
The
already been the
RFI.
Hardy family office and then the Andrade like
Oh, that was,
it's a bad name for a group. So
yes,
just like calling it and
yes,
pretending like it's always been that. Like he gets mad at Matt Hardy, like that would be funny.
that would be amazing. Yeah, and talk about things that are funny. Taz putting over Roosh for using the camera cables. It was so amazing to me. He was like, "Well, he's good with them cables." Like, I mean, it's a
just
weapon.
Taz is just really good. Like he's really
Yes,
good
he
on
is.
commentary.
He is, and I think we talked about it last week that I don't give WWE credit a lot, but them having faith in him, I thought that was a joke back then.
Right. It was odd to
Yeah,
have Taz on commentary because he
yeah,
wasn't the kind of guy. Like he didn't even really cut lengthy promos. He cut like 1 minute
yeah,
promos.
yes,
It was not like putting The
but
Rock on commentary. We're like, yeah, that makes sense.
yeah, but hey, WWE saw it, and well, WWF saw it, same company, but and I mean, he's Hall of Fame worthy. I mean,
Yeah.
Taz is fantastic. Um, Roosh in control through the picture in picture. Uh, they went at it. So it was not a typical picture in picture.
No, it
Like,
wasn't like a rest hold and taunting the crowd. And yeah.
yeah, they went at it nonstop for the first, I don't know, 5 7 minutes. I mean, it was just nonstop. It was a hard hitter. Um, Hangman hit the huge clothesline right after the break, and this is just me. Did you think the ending looked a little rushed?
Yeah, a little bit. I feel like they were rushed. They were short on time.
Yeah, because it was like they came back from break. Hangman hits a clothesline, does a buckshot lariat, and that's the match.
Yeah, I feel like they told them during the break, like, okay, as soon as we come back, just end the match. Yeah.
Yeah, and then th- this is my favorite part of the show, just because Mox is like professional on every level. Private Party comes down, and you think there's gonna be like some shenanigans, and Mox his music hits, and everyone's kind of like, what's going on, and Mox just like walks in the ring, doesn't say anything, looks at Private Party, and they just walk away.
Yeah.
I thought it was the great.
Like I see, we're not needed in this segment. Okay.
Yeah, yeah. I I literally laughed out loud because I was like, oh, okay, he's gonna take a deep breath and be like, and why are you here? He said, nope,
Yeah.
just looked at him and they walked away. uh this was the setup of the Mox versus Hangman feud, which I hope they let it go for a minute, but I know they're wrestling not this week, or is it? No,
No,
this
it's
week's
next week.
Canada,
Next
so
week's
it's
in
next
in
week's.
Ohio.
So
Yeah.
well, 2 weeks they can build, but
I would love a longer build for the between the two of them. Like
same
I
here.
kind of wish it was Full Gear, even though I think they want to get the title on MJF.
Right.
I wish this was going to go till Full Gear at least because they could do so much with this feud.
Yeah. And like I agree with you. But Mox says he's gonna smash Hangman in the face, and then Mox has the statement of the night that kind of flew under the radar, but you brought it up. He claimed to be the best in the world.
Yes.
Is that a work or shoot, Rick?
That's one of the blurring the
Exactly.
lines. You don't
Yeah,
know. Yeah.
I love it.
And I
I
like because
love it.
it's against Hangman who was the in CM Punk's eyes, he went off script and he was the
Right.
unprofessional one. So now Mox is going off script while Hangman's there. It works so well.
Yes. And you know what I love when he said that? You didn't have the entire announce team just screaming at you, telling you, "Did
Right.
you hear what he just said?" They
You
didn't
know who
even
that's
make.
referring to. Yeah, they didn't.
Yes,
Yeah.
they did not even. We might have been the first people to talk about it since it happened.
Yeah.
Like
No, I
they did
like
not
it.
even mention. Yeah, it was
I like
great.
the announce team manages to I mean sometimes they go over the top, like when they consistently call Hook the cold hearted handsome devil nonstop.
Yes,
That like
yes,
sometimes they do go over the top.
yes.
But things like this, or like when MJF did his, pipe bomb promo and walked out, like they
Right,
covered it like you would cover that happening in real life. Like, oh, that wasn't supposed to happen. We're not going to talk about it.
right,
Uh,
right,
so they covered Mox saying that as if, oh yeah, we're not supposed to talk about CM Punk, so we're just going to
right.
pretend that didn't happen. We're just going to move on because
Yep.
we don't want that on TV. Yeah, it was good.
It was so good. And excuse me, it fit. They went nose to nose, and then we get a backstage and with Jade, and you think Jade's going to cut a promo, but no, Willow steps in and challenges for the TBS title,
Yeah,
and Jade, not Jade, excuse me, Willow asked why she couldn't be the one. Now, was that a shot at WWE and the Undertaker? I
Yeah.
mean, Jade's got a streak too now.
I loved it because Jade was like, I beat you twice already. She's like, yeah, but can you beat me 3 times? Like, it makes sense. Like, just
Right.
because you beat her twice doesn't mean you can beat her again. Like, it made Widow look really good too. Like, Jade obviously looks confident. Like, oh, I
Yes.
already beat you
Yes.
twice, whatever. But
Right.
Willow looks equally confident. And like, no, but you can't beat me now. Like, it was a really good, it was short, but it really established both of them really well.
Yes. And I liked the little build that they had. I shouldn't say build. The little back and forth they had backstage, and I really wanted Willow to be the one.
I really
We'll get
did.
into that.
Yeah.
We'll get into that, and I have a theory. So,
All right.
um, we had the first squash match of the anniversary.
I thought Fuego was gonna do it. I thought he was gonna win.
Fuego is amazing, and like talk about the internet. The internet got Fuego over because he's on Sammy's vlog,
Right.
and got him a job. And now they just kind of don't know what to do with him.
Yeah.
Like, people want like the vlog crew to be like a thing on TV.
Yeah.
But I like that it's separate
Yeah.
because they're not in character. It's like them going to like breakfast or them going to a museum together. It's literally them just being friends.
Right.
So like that's not gonna be good television.
Yeah, and
Like,
not every, like, we know, I mean, the general fans know about a lot of the wrestlers' personal lives, but
right.
that doesn't necessarily mean they have to put all of it in the show.
Yes. Yeah.
Like, even
So
like Brandy and Cody, like, they weren't like, everyone knows they're together, but they weren't like constantly together on
right.
TV. Like, sometimes Brandy did her own stuff, sometimes Cody did his own stuff. Like, you don't need to be, they're married, they're friends.
Right.
Like, it
Right.
it doesn't
Right.
need to always be like that. Like, if someone has a job, they have friends, but their friends aren't necessarily at their job. Maybe they work at a different part of the company, or
Right.
like yeah.
Right.
So it works. They don't need
Yeah.
to put everybody on TV
Yes.
the same way they are in real life, because and they may not go well together. Like, Sammy as a person might get along with Fuego as a person, but like, do their
Right.
characters get along? Maybe not. Like, it doesn't.
Exactly. And that's what like doesn't make sense. Like Sammy, I mean, on his vlog, like he's nice to fans, he signs things, blah 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 blah. Like, so how could he be a heel and like why is he a dick one day a week?
Yeah, very.
Like, I mean, like he's super nice the other 6 days.
Right.
Like, it just so happens. uh Anyways, we had Luchasaurus squashes Fuego. I'm just start calling him Jack Perry because that's
Yes.
what the announcers called him.
Yes.
He just shows up and hits Luchasaurus with the chair and says, "Hey, we used to be friends, but now we're not." And I thought it was awesome.
Yeah. It was good. I mean,
It was
he's
so good.
he's getting really good at promos, which was never his strength, and he's getting really good at it. And maybe he worked with Christian on it or something, but he's getting good. And I love them putting Luchasaurus in front of him, even if Christian wasn't injured, as
Right.
you have to beat him first before you can get to Christian.
Right.
I like it.
And if he is working with Christian on his promos, I think what it comes down to is he's believing what he's saying now.
Right.
Like before, he might not have screamed and "you are my best friend." Like he might have just been like, "Yeah, we used to be friends," because
Right.
that's not him. And like
Right.
him in real life is just chill.
He's not a guy who screams at people. Yeah.
Yeah. Now it's like it's starting to click. Like, okay, when I'm in pro wrestling mode, I might be this, but I'm this times 10.
Right. Or my wrestling character would get mad here. Like, maybe I wouldn't
Right.
personally, but Jungle
Right.
Boy would get mad here. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's a very cool transition, and we saw it happen like basically in real time. It was really cool.
I mean, when you think about, not to go on another tangent, but when you think about like Edge and Christian, when they started in WWF, they were quiet. They didn't say anything.
Yeah.
Like, they would, like, Gangrel cut their promos for them. Like, they were so inexperienced at promos that they were like, they gave them another guy to like cut their promos for them because now like both of them are like some of the top promos in wrestling. So like they worked at it and they got there, and Jack Perry's going the same direction.
And yeah, let's go, because it's showing. It's awesome. Main event time. Speaking of Sammy, Jericho and Sammy versus Daniel Garcia and Bryan Danielson. Somebody brought up the point that they should make Garcia and Danielson a tag team and call them Daniel Bryan. And I was like, that needs to happen.
That's hilarious.
Come on.
I love that.
They couldn't be sued. It's two different people, and it's their real names.
It is their actual name. Yeah.
Yeah. Like I mean, I know Danielson has like a lot of respect for WWE. And
yeah, like he doesn't even want to do the yes stuff because they came like he did it there. Yeah, I appreciate, like, I respect that from him. Like he left on good terms. He didn't leave angrily. Yeah.
There's money in that T-shirt. There's money in that T-shirt. Like just have their names on it. Just have Daniel and then Garcia real little, and Bryan and Danielson real little.
Yeah, and like enough space in between them that like they're clearly separate names, but not too much space.
Yeah, that sometimes the internet is amazing, and whoever came up with that was amazing.
That's great.
Because it was a Ring of Honor match. Ian Riccaboni on commentary, and because we live in the internet era and we found out before the show, which again is another weird thing, when you're around somebody all day, why you would fight them 5 minutes before a national live television show went on the air is beyond me. Just saying. And not trying to play that it's a work.
What I found was very odd, and I don't want to talk about this too much because we don't know anything.
Right. Exactly.
But I found it very odd that TMZ had this story. Like, since when is TMZ backstage in an AEW show? Like, I didn't even know TMZ knew what AEW was. Like, suddenly now they're breaking AEW news. Like, that was a little suspect.
Yeah. But because we live in the internet age and the news broke, we had a nice big long F you Sammy chant. And like me and you always say, he wholeheartedly lives the heel. Like, what did he do? He just leaned back and sucked it all in and was telling them, and they were just getting madder.
Everyone hates him so much that it's great. Like, it's the best.
It is the absolute best.
You don't see too many modern heels who, like, everyone just hates them so much. And I disagree. I saw people on Twitter saying it was like, go away heat, like, we hate you, we don't want you on TV. I don't think that's it. I don't think that's it at all.
No, it's not. It's because they'd cry if he wasn't there. Like, they'd love to hate him. Like, the people say they don't want him there. That's no. Because then why would you even waste your time?
Right.
And people were, and it just made my head hurt. Anyways, to be honest with you, Danielson controlled the good bit of this match. I was surprised at how little, like, I shouldn't say little, but I thought Sammy and Daniel Garcia were going to be like the main focus of this match, but it wasn't. It was almost Jericho and Danielson.
Yeah. Which I guess I kind of guess because they're having a match coming up, but yeah.
Which I'm gonna get to here in a second because I have a theory. But anyways, it was kind of like the Chris Jericho, Bryan Danielson show. But I mean, Sammy still did his crazy stuff, and Garcia is great. I mean, he is such a technical wrestler at such a young age. It's amazing.
Yeah.
The crowd, we're gonna go this first. Garcia and Jericho finally get face to face, and I mean, we want to see him go, don't we? Oh no, Sammy's gonna step in and break that up and make the crowd hate him more. I thought that was, I don't know if that was planned, but if it wasn't, Sammy, you're a genius. That was the timing was perfect.
Yeah.
Jericho uses the belt. Garcia goes through a table, and Sammy gets the pin. 1, 2, 3. He'll win. We end Dynamite year 3, start of year 3. I thought it was a solid match.
Yeah. The
Now,
internet was so mad, like so outrageously
oh yeah,
mad.
they thought like, oh, they're praising Sammy because
They're like,
he's in a fight. Blah blah blah.
right.
Oh my
Like,
god.
no, it makes perfect sense. Jericho's facing Danielson next week.
Yes.
It makes sense for them to cheat and him to win, and it makes sense for Sammy to get the win. So it's not Jericho, but he can still brag about beating it. Like, it made 100%
Exactly.
sense
Yeah.
for Sammy
Like
Guevara to
that.
win that match. That
Yes.
wasn't like a Tony Khan was like, oh yeah, I want Bryan Danielson to win. Oh wait, Sammy got in a fight? Well, put him over. Like, that's not what
Yeah.
happened.
Yes.
This was planned. This was probably planned weeks ago. So no matter what happened in that backstage situation, this was not a response to that. This was part of the storyline.
Exactly. Now, my question to you, is Nigel McGuinness free to work, or does he have 90 days?
I don't know, because he wasn't a wrestler, so I'm not sure.
Okay. Well, here's what I think is going to happen. Jericho Danielson this week for the Ring of Honor title. Nigel McGuinness shows up, cheats for Danielson though. Like that he's so like Jericho's so vile. Nigel's gonna jump out of the crowd and like hit Jericho with the belt to get the belt back on a Ring of Honor person.
Yeah, I'm laughing because I'm picturing, as you're saying this, Nigel McGuinness showing up on Raw right now while we're recording this.
Yeah, that'd be absolutely amazing. I'd be so happy. He's now new member of DX.
But yeah, I could see that. I could definitely see that. Them trying to get some ROH guy trying to get the title on Danielson. Nigel McGuinness fits for that. I don't know if he's available, but that I could see that for sure.
And that's what I wasn't sure if he had the same because he wasn't a talent technically. So
yeah, I don't know. I don't know how that works there.
Yeah. Would he be allowed to just Big Show and Mark Henry were hired right away, right?
Yeah, but they were on like Legends deals, which I think is different. I don't know. I have no idea.
That is correct.
I have no idea. I'm not a contract person. Yeah. We need smart Mark Sterling out here.
Yes, we need
for that.
Well, so since we're not contract people, we'll just move right on to Rampage and Battle of the Belts 4. We're gonna do it just as one show.
Yeah,
basically,
because they basically did it as one show.
Yeah, I was gonna say we're gonna pause for 2 seconds and
it's gonna fade out and then fade back in.
Roosh and Private Party versus Mox, Claudio, and Wheeler.
The long-standing team of Roosh and Private Party, as it's always been.
Right. And which I thought was funny because going back to what we just talked about, and Mox just gave them the look and them walking away, Private Party. Now he gets to beat them up.
Yeah.
It was great. Regal on commentary, and Jericho is been money on a lot of things lately, but him on commentary lately has been awesome, and he's
toned down his random yelling at stuff, which I think I need to also do. But he's settled in a lot better on commentary, where he's not just like screaming the whole time.
Right, and he's like putting people over and not himself.
Right,
like, and not that it was bad because that is totally what Chris Jericho would do.
But he manages to still be Chris Jericho, the character, but also do commentary. Yeah.
Yes, that's what I was just gonna say. Like he's still both. Roosh starts with Mox and he jumps him. I thought that was a cool start.
Yeah.
Private Party then jump in and take out Claudio and Yuta, and Roosh was pretty much that whole team was pretty much in charge here for, I don't know, a good bit of the first part of the match. I mean, I don't know, maybe 5 minutes. It was.
Yeah, that seems to be an AEW thing whenever a newer or less proven, not saying that Roosh is not experienced, but he's newer to the AEW audience. Mm-hmm. Whenever there's a newer guy or newer team going up against very established people, they let the new guys get their stuff in early. Like they get control of the match for the first like 5-7 minutes.
Yeah, and I thought it was really cool. I thought it was really well done. Um, but Mox, after the break, he gets the hot tag to Claudio, and we just we're gonna witness in a second how well we're not gonna witness it. We already saw it, but Claudio is pound for pound the strongest human being
Yeah.
in AEW. I mean, it, first and foremost, he has one of Private Party on his shoulders and kind of stumbles and just says, "Hold on," and
Yeah.
then just stands up and picks both of
Yeah,
them
he
up
he recovered from that really well.
and just used all strength. Like there
Yeah.
was nobody's momentum. That was
Or
all.
like working with him or anything. Yeah, like
Yeah.
he just had to lift him. He couldn't like
Yes.
do anything else. Yeah.
Yeah, and he there was no way he was going to put him down. Like there was determination in those eyes, and he just stood up
Yeah.
and then started the big swing, and it was awesome. They earned their "This is awesome" chant, and Yuta tags in, excuse me, after the big swing and taps out Mark Quinn. Uh, I thought it was a solid match. It was a good
Yeah, I thought
way.
it was a good match, and I think this is leading the whole, whether or not Andrade's there or not, the whole private party, free private party thing,
Yeah.
with Roosh or whoever they're being freed from. Um, it's going to end with them going over really well, and that'll be nice to see because they started off really
Yes.
hot in AEW, and then the
Yeah.
whole Matt Hardy, the whole heel turn hasn't really worked out for them. So
It's very true.
they're going to have a big moment where they break free and be their own team again, and it's going to be good.
Oh, that is going to be awesome because they're another homegrown team. Like, let's go.
Yeah, and they do, not to say that they're should necessarily be like tag team champions or anything, but they deserve better than what they have. Like
Yeah.
the whole Matt Hardy on Andrade family office, whatever, has kind of been a mess. So
Yeah. Yeah.
having them just end it would be good, and then it'll be a big moment. They'll get to turn face, like to actually turn face, and like it'll be good.
Well, I have a theory on what we're going to see with La Faction and Gubernable. See, I should have tried it. I
Not
tried it.
bad, not
Yeah,
terrible.
it wasn't terrible, but I tried. Um, I think something's gonna happen with Penta and Phoenix and Death Triangle.
Yeah,
I think something's gonna happen there.
yeah, we
And
can. Well, I guess we'll talk
yeah,
about that more during their match, but yeah,
yeah. Um, well, talk about homegrowns. The Varsity Blondes versus Neeson Woods, who are semi-homegrown. Um, Total squash match. Neeson Woods destroy them. Now, the Mark Sterling comes in, and he basically insults the intelligence of the Varsity Blondes because they weren't paying attention to their contracts, and their patent ran out on the term varsity. So Mark Sterling came in and bought it out from underneath them to start the varsity athletes with Neeson Woods.
I love so many things about this. First, the obvious WWE reference, obvious.
That's yes,
The piggybacking off the private party, contact tampering stuff, which
yes.
it came right after that, which was good. And I love that he didn't trademark the whole name. He just took the varsity. He
Just the
didn't
varsity part, right?
like they can still be the blondes, I guess. Right?
Yes.
I like that.
Um. Now, do you think this was also a shot at WWE for what they did to the Dudley Boys?
Yeah, I think it's a shot at WWE for what they've done to a lot of people. I was
Well,
talking to
right.
you, like, I mean, they took Cody's last name for a while. Like,
That's now see, like I said, if someone would have if I would have known that and my name would have been Cody Rhodes, I would have sued WWE. Like
yeah.
what? Because then I would have stood up for Cody, being like, "Oh wait, so you just owned his name? Well, that's illegal
Yeah.
because you should know. Like you can't own one person's name. So you either own all our names or
I loved when they couldn't use Cody Rhodes, but they were Cody and Brandy Rhodes.
yes,
Like I thought that Cody handled them owning his name perfectly. Like he did a really good job
yeah,
at it. He formed Cody as his own sort of. I mean, I still call him Cody, even though he's Cody
yeah,
Rhodes once again. He formed his own image as Cody. He got around it by partnering with Brandy to be Cody and Brandy Rhodes. Like he got old WWE WCW trademarks and then used them until WWE traded them his name. Like for all the making fun of Cody Rhodes, I do like him running Bash at the beach was hilarious. And
yeah.
And I love that he said for years, oh, I don't even want to be Cody Rhodes. I want to be Cody. Cody's my own name. Oh, I can be Cody Rhodes again? Okay, I'm being Cody Rhodes.
Yep.
Like clearly he wanted to be Cody Rhodes that whole time.
Right. Unreal. I mean, like we always say, if someone did that to me, like, why the hell would you go back there? But hey, that's to each his own.
That's why I love that they just trademarked varsity, not varsity. Like it was just part of the name. I think that's hilarious.
That's unreal. Moving right on to my favorite promo of the past decade of just Eddie it was such an Eddie Kingston promo. It was Eddie cutting a promo about he was blurring the lines between reality because he was supposed to be cutting it about something else, which I can't even it's ending it with Sammy. Yeah, like how that was over, but then it turned into like, what do you mean I only get 30 seconds? Well, MJF gets 15 minutes, and then he's just yelling at some random guy, and then they're like, oh, you're gonna cut it, and then he gets up and walks away.
Eddie's great.
It's for all so good.
Like I've said, there are issues with AEW, and one of the things I think that I have an issue with is the not enough Eddie Kingston. There should be more Eddie Kingston. He should always be on TV. Like
he should always be on TV.
They should just give him like 5 minutes a show just to like get mad about stuff. He's great.
Eddie Kingston is amazing. 2023, Eddie Kingston gets a belt in AEW.
Yes, he should. He really should.
Yeah. I mean, I give him the world championship. Seriously. Like,
right. Oh, have him beat MJF. That would be amazing.
Give MJF like the run of 8-9 months and,
have MJF beat everyone. Like, that all, Hangman, Omega, have him beat like everybody. And then,
And then, I mean, even if you do like, I beat everybody. So like, you know what? I'm just going to show up for the main event for All Out. Whoever has the balls to show up.
Right.
And then he's just sitting in the ring, and then Eddie's music hits, and
that'd be great.
That'd be great. Anyways, we had, I'm going to say this wrong. Ty JAS.
Even Jericho said it wrong. Jericho said TJ. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which I think they've called themselves TJ before, even though her name is Ty. Yeah.
Yeah. That was their tag team name.
Yeah.
On like Dark.
Yeah.
And Madison Rain versus Sky, not versus Madison Rain and Sky Blue. Excuse me. Sky Blue is going to be the next Julia Hart. They're slowly getting her, like every week she's getting a little more, and they're gonna get her in something, and it's gonna really stick, and then she's gonna be that, and she's gonna be, people are gonna know more people are gonna know who she is.
Because she's still really young. I mean, I think I said to you, like she looks like she's like 12 years old. Like she's,
and I literally think she just turned 20.
Yeah, she's very young.
That puts things in perspective.
Yeah.
Like, that she just turned 20, which means she was born in 2002. Like, put that in perspective.
And she's like walking around on her own and everything.
Yeah. Yeah. Anyways, Tay and Anna Jay were in control pretty much the whole match.
Yeah.
I like it because it's making Anna, like, they're making her legit.
Right.
But I like it, just to me it made Sky look bad because they got barely any offense in.
Yeah.
The offense was all done by Madison Rain.
I mean, technically the last time Ty Conti and Anna Jay tagged, wasn't it that no holds barred match on New Year's? So I guess in theory you could say, they not only are they more experienced as a team, but they are tougher.
Yeah, that's
Like
true.
they've
Call.
showed that they have a lot more. But I can see where you're coming from. But I don't think it will matter for like the career of Sky Blue. I don't think
Oh
anyone's gonna
no. Yeah,
care. Yeah.
but it was just like I just thought it was too one sided
Yeah.
in my opinion. Uh, but it does fit their characters. Like they're just heels, so why would they? Why would they let up?
Right.
Um, but Anna Jay chokes out Sky Blue. Um, now this is where things get interesting because uh, Pac deserves standing ovation because
Yes.
he
How long
made
did he wrestle
evented
for? Like an hour?
like pretty damn close. uh, he made evented Rampage, and then he had the first match
Yeah.
on Battle of the Belts,
And I love because
and both matches.
he wasn't even supposed to until like a couple days ago because it was supposed to be like he wasn't supposed to
Yes,
be in this match with Dark Order.
right. Um, yeah, because of what happened with Andrade. So they
Right.
changed the mask versus career
Yes.
match. But anyways, main event trios tag titles on the line. Dark Order, which was uh, 10 Preston Vance, Alex Reynolds, and John Silver versus Death Triangle, which is Pac, Penta, and Ray Phoenix. Uh, I noticed JR was really putting 10 over. Did you
Yeah.
happen to notice that?
Yeah, I did,
Yes.
and I think that if they had gone with the original mask versus career thing, I feel
I
like he
still
would
think that's two of the, like, who would ever agree to that?
very lopsided. Yeah, it's like
Yeah.
if I win, I will take off this mask. If you win, you can never work again.
Yes.
Yeah,
Like, oh, okay.
it's very extreme stipulation,
Right.
but I think if they had gone with that, I think he would have lost his mask, and I think they were going to go with a singles push for him. So maybe that's where
Yeah.
they're still planning on going. So that explains why JR was putting over so much. But yeah, he definitely was putting him over a lot.
And we always talk about who would beat Wardlow. Like, give it another Wardlow.
Yeah,
Do the same thing. Like, build 10 up or Preston, whatever he goes to next, and just make him a monster that the two monsters have to meet. And, Wardlow would move up. And
yeah.
I'd like to see that.
I mean, Dark
Um,
Order is this match reminded me. Dark Order is kind of like MJF in the sense that they're so much into their characters that you
yeah.
forget they're really good wrestlers. Like you just think of them as like, hey, they're funny guys who like do funny promos backstage, but like no, they're actually very good wrestlers. Like this was a really really good match, and they looked really good
Yes,
in
it
it.
was. Yes. Well, that's what I was just going to say. Reynolds and Silver are so smooth on, like, everybody always used to say, like, oh, the Rock and Roll Express. Like, the other one, they didn't have to talk. They just knew where the other guy was going to be.
Yeah,
And Silver and Reynolds seem to have, like, that same, like, chemistry in the ring. Like, they just know. They're if Reynolds goes left, Silver goes right. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
they're very in tune with their matches.
And I like them kind of legitimizing Dark Order more. Like you mentioned last week that they are like homegrown AEW stars, and they are.
Yeah,
And I like them being slightly more legitimate. Like everyone knows they're good guys and they're
right.
funny, but they haven't really pushed their like in ring abilities that much, especially since Brody Lee's no longer with us. They
Correct.
haven't really pushed them as like a threat to anyone, really. And I like that they kind of push them more as yeah, they're fun guys, but they're also really good in the ring, and they not only gave them a chance to show off how good they are in the ring, but the commentary really talked about them a lot. Like they
Yes,
talked about how strong they are and how tough they are, and yeah, it was good.
it is good, and they delivered.
I hope they
I
give
mean,
them. I hope they retain that. Like I hope they become more legitimate
yes,
as a group or as a team.
I totally agree. Uh, it was it was just so good. Dark Order was in control early until Ray Phoenix got the tag, and then Ray Phoenix is a crazy person, so he took control, and when he took control, Death Triangle pretty well. They were pretty much in control from that point on. Dark Order had their moments fleetingly from that point on, but I mean, it was a good match and it was a
Yeah.
long match. So, but Dark Order just happened to be in control at the beginning.
Yeah, and Death Triangle clearly, like, I mean, they're the trios champions, so they should be
Yes,
good at this. So there's no issue with them kind of taking once they were down, then regrouping and taking charge.
but, but, Silver and Pac, they go at it, and we got a lot of false finishes, and the crowd's on their feet.
Yeah.
They earned their "This is awesome" chant, and then the LFI just makes a little suggestion,
Yeah. I
passes
like
the.
that.
It was great. You know, he didn't for it. He was just like, "Hey, I'm just telling you, here it is."
Yeah. If you want,
uh,
there's a hammer. You can maybe hit someone in the
yeah.
head with it. Here you go.
So Roosh just puts the idea on the table, and Pac runs with it. Hits. Did he hit John Silver with it, or was it Reynolds?
I think it was Reynolds, but don't quote me on that.
Okay. Why can't it was either Silver or Reynolds. That's all
Yeah.
I can remember.
Yeah.
And Death Triangle gets the win. Now this is where my theory comes in. I think the LFI offers Death Triangle a a spot in the LFI, and then they will actually be like a Lucha NWO.
I could see that. I was thinking that maybe they'll offer them a spot and maybe only Pac takes it and Lucha Brothers don't.
Ooh,
I could see that too,
that would be interesting.
but the three of them all being in there would also be really cool. Like that could be like a really dominant group. So yeah, either way would work out really well.
Yeah. So that's my just personal opinion.
And I also really
Because
like it. I mean, Pac had
but
2 matches, so it makes sense
well,
that
that's
when he gave him the hammer, Pac was probably, you could see him thinking like, yeah, maybe I shouldn't do this, but I do have to wrestle again. So it'd be really nice if this match just ended now. So
right.
yeah, it was good.
Um, but Pac, I mean, one match ended, the next match started.
Yeah.
Pac versus Trent Beretta for the All Atlantic title. I forgot to write that. It's for the All Atlantic. Well, let me just add that to the notes. These guys, they work really well together. The chemistry and the pace that they went at,
Yeah, especially
which
because Pac just had a match.
that was like 25. Well, I mean, he wasn't in it the whole 25
But
minutes, but
still, yeah.
still, exactly. He was going for another 25 in this match. I mean,
Which I really like that they booked it the way they did, because if they had booked this match just Pac versus Trent on its own, there's no way you would think Trent was going to win. Like, just not no disrespect to
right.
Trent, but I mean, he's a tag team guy. He hasn't had a singles push in any way. Like, I wouldn't expect him to win this match at all. But because
Right.
Pac just
Yeah.
had a match, there was the thought of, oh, maybe Trent will win, and that's how they kind of, explain why this happened, because Pac already had another match.
And the pace, like Pac's cardio, like dude probably ran 10 miles.
But I mean,
in the 2 matches.
He has ludicrous abs. Like,
well, that is true.
They're ridiculous. I mentioned to you, I really loved Jericho talking about. I mean, he's always gloated that, like, I beat The Rock and Stone Cold Steve Austin on the same night. Like, he's always done that. But I love that he mentioned it here, because first of all, it fit for once. It actually fit because someone was having in 2 title matches in the same night. And I love that he mentioned it when it's, not in his company. And then JR talked about it too. Like, oh, I called that match. Yeah. Like they don't forget that it happened just because it was in a different company.
And you say this all the time. This is going to be your quote. If we ever have T-shirts, it's going to say AEW does WWE history better than WWE.
Yes, they really do. Like they respect for all the snipping back and forth between AEW and WWE, and I'm sure Tony Khan probably doesn't love WWE officials right now. They do respect wrestling as a whole, and WWE is a part of that, and they do. Yes. For as much as they may not like, how the way the company runs, or the people running the company, or the whatever, they still respect what happened in WWE. They still respect them as a big part of wrestling.
Yeah, and they do a better job at it. But anyways, moving on. As you alluded to, Trent is I think possibly could be the most underrated dude on
yes,
the
definitely
roster. And this match showed it. Like, because people, like, there are some people that are just better tag team wrestlers, and I haven't seen many one-on-one Trent matches that
Right.
went this long.
Right.
I mean, it was very underrated. It was great.
Yes, it
Great.
was a really good
They
match.
put on,
Really, really good
yeah.
match.
When Pac took the drop kick from the ring apron to the floor, like that was, first off, gnarly,
Yeah.
but that was just the tip of the iceberg of what's to
Yeah.
come in this match. Excuse me. It was a very physical match. Um, Trent hit the greatest DDT ever in the history of wrestling. Actually, Pac just sold it really well.
Yeah.
That was
Yeah.
it made Trent look
It
amazing.
made it look brutal. Yeah.
Yeah. They earned 2 This Is Awesome chants,
Yes.
which and then like in the notes, I literally wrote in my notes, "What a match!" Just
Yeah. It was good.
randomly. It was so good. Now, this kind of made me turn away when Pac hit the brainbuster off the stage through table.
Yeah.
That was gnarly.
That's another one of those. I popped for it, but did you
Yeah.
have to do it? Maybe not. Like,
Yeah. But that move brought the fans to their feet, excuse me, and they never sat back down for the rest of the show.
Yeah. It was one of
The
those
rest,
things where how like WWE modern WWE style is very safe and to the point where
yes,
it's a little formulaic. But there are some times where I'm like, I get why they're so safe. Like they don't want someone breaking their neck on their TV
right,
show. Like I get it why they've had it happen. So like I get why they don't
right,
want it to happen again. Um, I'm not saying that Tony Khan should ever tell anyone to tone it down because they're all going out there trying to, make names for themselves. But it's a little uncomfortable sometimes.
that was. I mean, I always say, like, I had a major back injury in my life, and I didn't fall like that.
Yeah.
but it knowing how something, and again, these people are in way better shape than I ever was,
Right.
and or will be, but how something so small can, like, I did something way less than that, and
Right.
I was almost paralyzed. Like,
Yeah. And they I know they worked it out and like have a plan, but yeah, any little
right,
thing can like
yeah,
I saw
I
like
mean,
again totally unrelated. I saw some video of someone on like it was a TikTok person, but it doesn't really matter. They
mhm,
jumped into like a foam pit and they just jumped weirdly and they broke their back. And it was like
right,
a pit like it was a pit of
yeah,
foam. Like that shouldn't happen. But just
right,
the way you landed awkwardly, like you can break your
yeah,
back. Like yeah.
and it was just, it made me look away. But hey, like, it brought the crowd to their feet,
Yeah,
and
like I like in the moment I was like, yeah, that's really cool. But then afterwards I'm
yeah,
like, I don't know. Yeah.
right, right, and obviously this isn't like the 70s whenever guys are like, "Hey, I'm gonna throw you off the building tonight." You're like, "What? Huh?" And then
Yeah.
it's like, "Huh? What? No, you missed it." Like,
Yeah. No, like I know they
eh,
definitely planned it out and like
yeah, like Trent was like, "Yeah, we're definitely doing that."
yeah.
Um, but Pog had another heel win.
Yes.
uh, it just, too much is lining up. Uh, and to me, that would make sense if they go to the LFI or if they break up Death Triangle. If Pac's going back and forth, that at least, if either of those scenarios, keep the Lucha Brothers not in limbo while Pac's away
Right.
for 2 weeks,
And I
or
mean,
I
I know
think
they
it's
have the trios title, but they were not planned to have the trios title.
right,
So I mean, they
right,
could clearly lose the belts, and they would be fine. Like there's enough other teams that someone else. I think they will lose the trios titles pretty soon because Tony Khan likes to book far in advance, and he likes to plan his things out far
right,
in advance. And they were never planned to have the belts, just like the Bucks when they won the tag titles, they weren't planned to have those
right.
titles. So they kind of got them off them pretty fast and moved on to what their
That's true. That's
plan
true.
was. So I could see them losing the belts relatively shortly. I don't know to who, but I could see them doing it.
Well, we'll go back to the main event of Rampage. Me and you actually kind of thought, like, hey, if anybody can win the trios belts, like, I'd be cool with the Dark Order. Like, it made
Yeah.
sense.
Yeah.
So yeah, yeah,
Yeah. I thought there
I
was a
could,
chance Dark Order might win them like last week. I thought there was
Yeah,
a possibility.
But Orange Cassidy attacks Pac, and this match was my match of the week. It was my seal of approval.
Yes,
We all
definitely a
know
good
what that
match.
means. It
Very
was
good
very
match.
good.
Somewhere
Now,
Trent and Pac are like, oh, this podcast gave them approval. All right,
yes,
then that's the
life's
validation we need.
validated. Yep.
That's what
Yeah,
we needed.
they just retired. Breaking news on Twitter. They just retired. They're somehow listening live.
That's what we needed.
um, Orange Cassidy versus Pac is now announced.
Yes,
Do you think Orange Cassidy wins the belt?
I think he might.
Interesting.
I think he might because they already had this match before for the belt. And
True.
he lost, through shenanigans. Though Orange Cassidy is a guy who doesn't need a title, so
Well, that's yeah.
would they put it on him when like he's going to be over no matter what he does? I don't know. What do you think?
I'm 50-50 with it. At first, I was all in, like, excuse the pun. I was all in thinking that, oh, it's time. You know, they're going to push the trios belts, so take the All Atlantic off of
Right.
Pac. But then I was like, going with what you just said about the trios belts, I was like, but if that wasn't the original plan, like AEW likes longer title reigns.
Yes.
Pac just won that, and it was very well deserved. So if they're not going to push that Death Triangle with the trios titles, and they're just going to lose them, he'll beat Orange Cassidy. So
Yeah.
I guess
Yeah,
that's
I don't
where we
know.
avoided the question by
It'll
answering
be
both
interesting to
scenarios.
see.
Yes, it will be. And
I mean, they're doing it this week. If Orange Cassidy was Canadian, I'd say yes, he's going to win the belt because it's in Canada. But
he does wear the Canadian tuxedo though.
That's true. Very true. He looks like he's Canadian. Yes.
It does look like he's Canadian. Speaking of, did you hear the internet was mad about that too?
What were they mad about now?
That it's the All Atlantic title, and it should be a Canadian wrestler defending,
Yeah.
or it should be vying for it. And like somebody was like, well, why? And they're like, well, because it's in Canada. And they were like, well, Pac's the champion and he's from England, so shouldn't the match be there?
Right.
Like,
I
if
mean,
that's your logic, like
the All Atlantic name is kind of dumb because it's not just Atlantic countries, but like, yeah, I don't care. Like, I do like that they mentioned the country, like they're like PAX, has a UK flag and Orange Cassidy has an American flag. Like I like that. I'm not on the Bret Hart side where every single person from Canada has to win in Canada. Like I don't think that that's true. So
right. What if Bret Hart wins the All Atlantic title? Be amazing. We had Willow versus Jade for the TBS title. If Jade, excuse me, yes, no, I was going with that. Jade she's a well-oiled machine now at this point. She's getting all not faucets. That's what water comes out of. Facets. There you go. All facets of the pro wrestling game. Like she understood the character part before, but now she's getting the in ring. And this match,
she was before a little rough. Like when if people botch, things happen, right? I'm not even saying a botch, but like a mistake or something doesn't go right. Like she would always look kind of lost for a second or two before she would catch. But now she doesn't do that anymore. Like she's very accomplished. Like she's very smooth. She's a lot smoother in the ring. It looks a lot more confident in the ring. Comfortable. Yeah.
Yes, that's and a lot of people were giving Danielson and Regal credit, but let's give Jade some credit too. Like she saw the potential that she had,
right?
But she couldn't reach it, and then she needed the extra, and now here it is.
Right.
I mean, she's working, and the hard work's paying off.
Yeah, I mean, like you could put me in, like I've said, you could put me in a ring with Bryan Danielson, and I could have a passable match. Yeah. But if I was trained by them, like I'm not necessarily good. I'm not going to be Jade Cargill. Like I'm not going to look like her or wrestle like her. Right. Like there's no way. So like she clearly did her own work.
Yeah, absolutely. what a start to this match. These ladies proved they have cardio because they just ran around
Yeah.
like in a full sprint for like a minute. It was
Yeah.
unreal. Uh they brought the fire. They both just went at it. I, I, if Danielson wasn't backstage applauding as soon as Jade came back, I'd be highly surprised.
Yeah.
Like because this was probably, excuse me, Jade's best match.
Yeah, I would say that. And it like she managed. She did a really good job of being in jeopardy. Like you thought Willow might win,
Yes.
but it wasn't because like Jade screwed up or Jade looked inexperienced or like she just made her opponent also look good.
Yes.
And that's not saying she did it on her own. Like Willow obviously made herself look good. Like
Yeah.
it worked. It was a really good match.
It was yeah, these ladies, it was great. They worked really well together. I hope
And we
this
had two
is
women's matches. I know it was technically two shows, but it was
right.
1 2 hour block of TV with two women's matches in it. So
Hey, let's go.
very good.
Um, I hope we get to see Willow versus Jade 4
Yeah, I think this is like I think they should be kind of like
kind of
not
tied together.
yeah like not like constant rivals, but kind of together. Like they won't wrestle for 6 months, and then when they are in the ring again, you'll be
Right.
like, oh, okay, it's them. Like that's gonna be a thing. Like yeah,
Well, we know Jade is great, and well, I forgot to mention Ricky Starks is on commentary for some reason not the first match, and I don't know why. Did they ever explain that?
it was a
Like,
little odd. Ricky Starks just like showed up. Yeah,
yeah, okay. I thought so. We forgot to say that.
it was a little
Um,
strange.
but Jade hits Jaded on Willow, and Willow sold it so good. She even made like the sad face on her way down. Did you notice that?
Yeah,
It was like
where
that
she's
was
like, oh no, yeah,
it was such a Willow thing to do.
yeah.
Uh, and then the greatest thing, the most unexpected greatest thing happened, and I've been following on Twitter since, and it's amazing. Nyla Rose steals the belt, and his nonstop just tweeted about it and took pictures of it and
Oh, I didn't
posted it
even see her
online.
Twitter since then. Her Twitter's always
Oh,
hilarious, so I should look at that.
oh, it's amazing.
Oh, I
She,
noticed
she
she changed her name to TBS champion
yeah,
Nyla Rose.
and then she said, "I think I'm gonna start a vlog where I just do furniture shopping because I have all this new hardware." And oh, it was great. It all day today. She has
I hope they
been
let her have her like Twitter persona on TV because she's
same
hilarious.
here, same here. Well, here is my big theory that uh that I think is going to happen. Jade's now 39-0.
Yes,
Nyla, they're obviously going to have a match.
yes.
Not Nyla is going to be 40-0. And here's the kicker. Jade's going to say, I beat everybody. No one left. Who's going to step up? Serena Deeb beats
All
Jade
right,
Cargill.
that would be cool. I would like that.
Yeah. And it's the belt doesn't need legitimized, but it doesn't necessarily need off of Jade, but it 40 would be a good time to get it off of her. She goes
Yeah,
40-1. You know, Deeb could run with this. I mean, Jade's had this title for
a
uh
long time. Yeah,
a long time, like
I think so.
March, April. Well, it couldn't have been April because I was at the show in April, so she had the belt in April.
Yeah,
So probably March. So yeah, she's has the longest title reign in
January.
AEW. Wow.
Yeah,
So she's 10 months in.
yeah,
Uh there you go. So 10 months in, that's what I think is going to happen. Maybe something in Full Gear.
yeah. That would
Maybe
sound good.
yeah, like her and Nyla can go back and forth and then get a match right before Full Gear, and then
I like it.
that's what I want.
I like it.
Me too. Then we had our main events of the week. Excuse me. The Ring of Honor tag belts on the line. FTR versus the Gates of Agony with um I forget his name. Prince Nana. That's
Yes.
terrible. I'm sorry. I'm a fan too. Bobby Cruz is back, but he has a neck brace on. I hope he doesn't have Smart Mark's lawyer or Smart Mark's doctor. Excuse me. Crowd loves FTR. It's, as soon as their music hit, they're so over. It
Yeah, for sure.
like they have to love it. It's like the validation, like because they were such in a bad place in WWE,
Yeah.
and now they have all the belts in the world, and that's well deserved.
Yes. I
Uh,
would like to see more of it, but yes.
agreed. But hey, they're getting a little older.
Yep.
Make their appearances special.
That's true. That's
That's
true.
that's just me. Um, Jr. had the compliment of compliments when he compared FTR to Arn and Tully. I
Yes,
thought
I
that was
remember when
really
I
cool.
first found out when they were the Revival in NXT. I remember seeing them and thinking they looked just like them, like they wrestled
Yeah,
like them. They reminded me of them. Yeah,
it they're the love of wrestling and old school wrestling between them. You could just tell that they watch like old Mid South tapes and just
right.
get happy.
Yeah,
Like they just love wrestling. It's great. FTR is Gates of Agony. Like they're a well-oiled machine. They've been a tag team for a long time. But as good as they are, FTR looked like they were on another level. Like I don't
yeah.
know if they
They're
were just
clearly
hyped up. Like
yeah.
yeah,
They're
I'm
clearly
sorry I
like
interrupted you.
to the point where it's a little like I think I said this last week. It's a little weird that they're not going for the AEW titles, and I know that there's probably a reason like they want them to,
Right.
but it's a little weird that they're so good and like they're nowhere near the AEW titles. But uh, outside of that, yes, they're very good and they're one of the best tag teams in the world, if not the best tag team in the world.
Yeah. I mean, they hit the big rig on the guy whose name I don't know. So I apologize, Gates of Agony, guy that I don't know. That's the bigger of the two. Because I totally just realized I just kept writing out Gates of Agony and I did not get their name, so I apologize. And I just realized this. The FTR gets the win. And then Brian Cage
Brian Cage is back.
is back and the embassy reformed. I like when did you watch Ring of Honor when the embassy was part of it?
No, but didn't they reform on the pay per view, or was I wrong at that?
They did, but they haven't talked about it since. So I didn't know
Right.
if it was
Okay.
still like
Yeah,
yeah,
they haven't mentioned it again. Yeah.
yeah. So apparently Brian Cage is in the embassy, and if they make the embassy a third of what it was in Ring of Honor, it's going to be amazing because it was so fun.
Yeah.
Like they were just big dudes that beat people up, and that's exactly what we talked about an hour and a half ago. That's what Brian Cage needs to be.
Yeah, that's exactly what he needs. Yeah. He
so
needs to be more threatening and more yeah.
so that's what I said. I had to say about Brian Cage later. If that is what they're going to do, then Brian Cage is going to be huge
Yeah.
because it's going to be great. Uh, then Wardlow and Samoa Joe show up and they clear the ring, kind of go after Gates of Agony a little bit, and we go off the air with Joe and FTR and Wardlow all with their belts all around each other, and
Yes.
just a very, and again, I don't think it was a shot. We're going to say it was like an homage, but it was a very late 90s Raw ending.
Yes, I agree with that.
Like no promos being cut. The match has been over for a minute, just people standing in the ring and
Yeah.
literally posing for the hard camera.
Right.
It was cool. Um, what a week. What a week for AEW.
Yeah. Good shows. I
Great.
still
Yes.
I still say that what we talked about at the beginning, they must very, very Ring of Honor focused this week. Like both
Yeah.
shows were, I mean,
Yeah.
they ended with all the Ring of Honor
Yeah.
titles being held up, except for Wardlow, but still.
Right.
So I mean, like I said last week, I really liked it. I wanted more of FTR and more for Wardlow. So, I mean, we got more of both of them. So great. That's exactly what I think they should do. But it's a little a little strange, especially because it was an anniversary show for AEW that it ended
Right.
with started and ended with so much ROH stuff, which is, I don't know, it has to be going somewhere,
It
because
has to.
if it was a, maybe it's because the Elite wasn't there, so they didn't want to focus on the history of AEW so much, or maybe something. I don't know, but it has to be going somewhere, because it was a clear focus on ROH this week, like significantly
That,
more
yes.
than most weeks. And they mentioned the most weeks, but this was, if if they didn't tell me the name of the show, I would have thought these were both ROH shows.
Well, exactly. And with no explanation, they just kind of did it. And
Yeah.
I'm like totally okay with it. I mean, Tony Khan can do whatever the hell he wants.
Yeah, and I mean these are all guys who would be on AEW TV if there was no Ring of Honor.
Right.
It's not like they brought in a bunch of new guys who I don't
Right.
know and like pushed them in over. They didn't do that. Like FTR, Samoa Joe, Wardlow, like these are all guys. Chris Jericho, like these are all guys that would be on an AEW show. So it's not like they're ignoring AEW wrestlers. It's just
Right.
the focus on ROH is a little. It was a lot this week, and I didn't even take away from the shows. Like I like the shows. It's not even like I'm upset with the quality of the show. I just wonder where it's going.
Yeah. And I mean, it has to be streaming service or show announced soon. It has to. Like
Yeah,
we're just we're getting into that time where it's like okay, it's like it's an absurd amount of time has passed,
yeah.
and like it something needs to happen. So, um, do you have your rant ready for this week?
I didn't have much of a rant. I ate a lot of pie and just relaxed, so
Nice,
I don't have as
nice,
much rage inside me. My thing, which I've already done, my thing was just to talk about how great John Moxley is, and I've already done it. So
great.
so I'm good. I question
Okay.
my only thing was why so much ROH, and John Moxley's awesome. So I already got through those. So it's all you.
Okay. Well, maybe you have something to piggyback on. Mine's it's a quick one, but you might have an opinion. Just this week, or this past week that we just covered, with everything that happened in the press and backstage, quote unquote, whatever you want to say, AEW cemented itself is the absolute pure alternative to WWE.
Yes.
It is now in a different league. Like, not saying that it's better or worse, or I'm saying it's 100% different.
Yes, it's
Like,
clearly different. Yes, the way they're taking this is very different.
yeah, they're like the it went from like maybe one or two segments would be like blurring these lines. Like at this point, people don't know what is real and what isn't, and even professional journalists that cover wrestling don't know what is real and what isn't, and they don't know what to do.
Yeah, and it has a different. I mean, people will say that like since the W, I disagree with this. People will say like since all the former WWE guys came in, it feels different. And AEW does feel different. I'm not saying it doesn't. It feels different than it did, 3 years ago.
Right.
I don't think it feels like WWE though. I don't think that's the problem.
No,
It's not like they took,
no.
because people were saying, I've seen a lot of people be like, "Oh, this is like when TNA hired all the WWE guys and just turned into a worse version of Raw." Like, no, this doesn't feel like a WWE show at all. It doesn't feel like
No.
AEW did 3 years ago. AEW, when it started 3 years ago, felt like kind of like a continuation of the NWA or WCW mixed in with some 90s wrestling. It seemed
Right.
more like that. And then they kind of turned into like an Attitude Era ECW-ish sort of thing with a lot more gimmick matches and stuff like that. And this definitely feels distinct, very different from the AEW of 3 years ago, but it doesn't feel like WWE. It feels like a totally different thing.
Yeah.
It's completely separate from any other wrestling right now.
And this new territory that they're in, where like I mean, me and you have texted about it. Like heels are now tweeting as heels,
Right.
and faces are now like literally making friends with fans, and like
Right.
it's this uncharted territory of weirdness and everybody using the internet though.
Yeah, I mean Twitter and YouTube and all the any type of social media is odd for wrestling because wrestling is unlike other entertainment forms. Like when you interact with an actor on social media, you don't expect them to act like their character in the movie or TV show. Like you expect them to be
True.
an actor, like a person. You
Yeah.
know that if, I can't think of an actor right now, but if someone's playing a superhero in a movie, you don't expect them to be a superhero on the internet. You expect them to be
Right.
themselves, right?
Right.
But so wrestling has always been kind of different, where the characters and the people are kind of blended together. And
Right.
that was a challenge for social media, because you couldn't have someone be 100% in character all the time, because that's weird, but you couldn't have them be completely different online. Like you couldn't have, if say MJF was MJF on TV, but then on Twitter he was like the nicest guy,
Right.
you'd also think that was weird. So there was always kind of like a weird, how are they going to handle social media and gimmicks and characters? And I think AEW's kind of worked it out.
Right. I totally agree. And I'm excited for this era because it's uncharted. Like it's it has potential to be the coolest thing ever.
Right.
Because there will be something like I'm not saying like this week, but now that we're in this realm, like a major storyline will start or end via the internet. Like it won't necessarily have to be a match. Like, you know, we live in times of uh, Facebook Live and TikTok and Instagram Live. Like, what if one of these backstage segments I just quoted, because we don't know what's real and what isn't, but say we get into the point where, okay, we're gonna make this fake fight, but um, Evil Uno is going to be filming his vlog, and you're just going to hear people yelling in the background, and he's going to run to see what's going on,
Right.
and like there's this big fight that oh geez, I don't know what to do, I better shut my phone off, and like they're like, oh my god, then this news breaks that there was this big altercation. Like
I
that's
could
you're
I could see
printing
them doing
money.
it really, really subtly, like someone doing a backstage vlog sort of thing, like a live one, and you hear yelling in the background, and they kind of like stop and look over, and then like, oh well, that's all the time we have for today, and just like end
Yeah.
it. And
Yeah.
they don't react over the toply, but they react like, oh, I'm not supposed to be doing okay, and something is happening where I shouldn't be doing this. Yeah, I could see that for sure.
Yeah, like some that will happen.
Yeah,
Mark
I
my
could definitely
words.
see
Like
that.
it's because it's new. You got to tap it. It's that like whenever WWF did the Rock and Wrestling, when they got on MTV, like that was a big thing.
Right. And you need people talking about stuff on the internet. Like the only stuff I've heard, like you were
Yeah.
saying, people don't talk about WWE as much on the internet, and that's true. The only thing they've been talking about was the Bray Wyatt stuff with the
Right.
the little QR codes coming up, and like that was legitimately cool. Like I think that was a cool
Yes.
thing. That was a cool way to bring someone in. Um, so you have to use and you can't do that for every single guy because it'll get old.
No. Right.
So AEW seems to have found a way to get people talking about their company on the internet outside of, right after Dynamite, talking about what happened on Dynamite. Like people will
Yeah.
talk about other stuff throughout the week because they have this atmosphere where
Yeah.
you don't know what's happening, you don't know what's real, you don't know and you're right. Like the journalists themselves are like, even with the CM Punk, Young Bucks, Kenny Omega thing, like the story of what happened backstage has now changed so many times
Yeah.
to the point where now they're like, actually, the Young Bucks didn't throw any punt. Like it's like it changes a lot because they don't actually know what's going on. They have various. And say it's all real. Like say
Right.
you're under the belief
Right.
all of this actually happened.
Right.
Um, Even if that's the case, you don't know. Like the journalists themselves, they don't know who to trust, who not to trust. Like they don't know if the first story they got was real and then it became a work, or was it a work and then it became real. Like they have no idea, and the fans
And
have no
and
idea, and it's cool.
and AEW isn't doing what like WWE would have to do because they couldn't run an angle. If this is an angle or if it's real, WWE couldn't do this because their people that were investing would want answers like, why the hell is this
Right.
happening?
Yeah, like when Vince McMahon had that limo explosion where he blew up, like they had to put a press release out being like he didn't actually die. Don't
like,
worry.
oh, really? Like,
yeah.
Seriously?
Yeah.
Like, come on. But yeah, like that's
Just
like
because some investor
AEW's
somewhere might hear like, oh, Vince McMahon, like my stock's gonna tank. I have to sell, right? So they have
right.
to, yeah.
Yeah, like it first thing AEW hasn't done is try to put the fire out. Like if there's no damage control whatsoever, Tony Khan says, I'm not talking about that.
Right.
Oh, we're not going to talk about that.
Right.
Like it's amazing.
And it
Amazing.
does, and they find ways to get people to, like, say you're not a wrestling fan who's on the internet. Like, say you, like, obviously everyone uses the internet, but say you don't follow
Right.
wrestling stuff on the internet. Like, that's not what you do. But if you watched an episode of Dynamite and they stripped the titles off CM Punk and the Elite, you're like, why? They didn't explain.
Right.
So now you have to look, because you're like, oh, what happened? I'm going to look this up to see.
Yeah.
And then you're like, oh, wow. Okay, I need to know more about that. Like,
Yeah.
you wanted, maybe you weren't a person who read wrestling rumors before, but now you want to, because what's going on? Like, this is real. Even
Yeah.
the Sammy Andrade stuff, whether it's real or not, like, say for the sake of all these conversations, it's 100% real. All of it happened, because I don't know otherwise.
Right.
If you're a casual wrestling fan who occasionally watches wrestling, if you have time, like you're not us who like is dedicated to be there Wednesday night at 8:00. Like you're someone who watches if there's nothing else on or whatever, right? Like you're but you heard, oh, right before the show, two guys got in a legitimate fight. Okay, I have to see what's going on that show. Like what's going to happen?
Yeah. Is it going to bleed over?
Or what's going to happen to those guys? Are those guys going to be on there? Like, yeah, you want to know.
Right.
It's very cool.
So it's very cool and very interesting. So that is where we are at. Do you have anything to add before we end this 2-hour episode?
No, I'm good. I'm looking forward to this week. I may or may not try to go to Rampage. We'll see.
Okay.
But it's an exciting week. It's for AEW's first international show. I feel like they'll have to do something. I mean, the card looks good, but it doesn't look like out of the ordinary good. I mean, every Dynamite card is good, so it's a little. I feel like they're going to do something because it's their first international show. It's a big thing.
Yeah,
like they'll do something with it. I don't know what that's going to be, but it'll be cool.
Well, I was planned on asking you this, and I don't even know if it's legal. Do you think we see the Hitman, or is he allowed to be there?
I don't think, because he was at a WWE show recently.
Oh, okay.
Like he was in the crowd of like the show they did in the UK. So I feel like they have him under some kind. I feel like that would be a deal where he's only allowed to be on their TV. Like he didn't do anything. They just showed him in the crowd. So
okay.
I don't know if he's allowed. I have no idea. I don't know what his contract says or anything, but it would be awesome. And I was trying to think of what Canadian wrestlers could they get who aren't under contract to WWE. Like they can't get
Venus.
Yeah, and nobody wants that.
And nobody wants that.
Because they can't get Trish, they can't get Edge. I don't know. I feel like they'll try to get someone, but I don't know who it'll be.
I was gonna say, like, knowing Jericho, like Jericho will pull like some random indie wrestler that nobody's heard of that Jericho wrestled in like 87.
Yeah.
Wow.
I don't know. We'll have to see.
Yeah, we'll have to see. And but on that note, we will end it there. It's been a great week, and it's just the tip of the iceberg on things to come here. So thank you again. Give us a follow at Elite City Pod on Twitter. We'll follow you back. And any questions or comments that you have, please pass them along. Comment, like, subscribe, pass it along. Let's everybody that listens, tell a friend to listen this week. That's your homework. Pass it along. We're growing. We've picked up some parts of Quebec and somewhere else. We're at the 33 states. I picked up another country, but I can't think of. Well, Spain. We were in Spain this week. That's
awesome.
Big. So it's new, and the people who've been here from the beginning, thank you. And until next week, this was the It Was. Later.